If you're a high achieving woman on a spiritual path of awakening and you've done a lot of inner work, but there's still someone who hurt you or someone that you really care about, maybe recently, maybe even decades ago, and despite everything that you understand about healing, well, you still can't forgive them. And then there's somewhere deep inside of you, there's another voice that's saying, oh, but I should. What if I told you you don't have to forgive them? Now, stay with me because I'm not saying what you might think that I'm saying. Today, I'm going to show you why trying to force forgiveness can actually help keep that wound alive, and what you need to do first before genuine forgiveness can actually naturally arise. And by the end, you're going to discover that the person that you've been trying so hard to forgive isn't actually where forgiveness begins at all. Welcome to the Orchard Sanctuary. And before we talk about forgiveness, I want you to notice, how do you know that you really haven't let go? Maybe the person isn't even in your life anymore, but a memory appears unexpectedly, and then suddenly you don't feel like the woman that you are today. Instead, you feel like the woman who you were with them. Or maybe you've replayed painful moments over and over in your mind, and then suddenly you're just feeling that same anger or hurt or shame all over again. You see, these moments aren't even happening anymore, but some part of you is still experiencing the pain from that relationship. Well, are you simply just tired of giving someone from your past this much power in your present? Well, you don't need to feel ready or able to forgive them, but you do want to be free, right? Well, that's where I want our conversation on forgiveness to begin with today. Not because you're supposed to forgive, because you want to be free. And that desire for freedom is much more important than you might realize. And we're going to come back to that in just a moment. I've experienced this myself. My mother died a few years ago, and even though I do deeply loved her, every once in a while there would be a memory that would just unexpectedly arise, and then I would notice something that happens inside of me. For a moment, I could actually feel really little again. I could feel uncomfortable with myself. And what's fascinating is that my mother isn't even here. She's not saying anything to me in this present moment. So who's making me feel bad now? Well, that's not a question of blame. It's a question of awareness. Because somewhere inside of me, an old relationship is still experiencing that relationship in a very painful way. And maybe you've noticed this too. Perhaps yours isn't your mother. Maybe it's an ex-spouse or a sibling. Maybe it's an adult child or a former friend, or maybe just somebody who betrayed you. But if remembering them can still cause you to feel trapped in the past and feeling really horrible feelings, something inside of you is still living the painful part of that relationship. And that something doesn't need criticism. You know what it needs? It needs your attention. So here's a $1,000,000 question. If you genuinely want to be free, then why won't some part of you let this go? So just notice what happens inside whenever I ask you this. What does some part of you believe is going to happen if you allowed yourself to forgive that other person? Now, I don't want you to work at the answer or try to figure it out. I just want you to notice, because something is going to maybe kind of bubble up from deep within you. Something like, well, if I forgive them, then that means I'm saying that it's okay. Or if I let this go, then that means I'm letting them get away with it, right? Or perhaps if I stop being angry, well, then who's going to protect me from this ever happening again? And there's not one thing wrong with that voice. In my Tree of Transformation framework, I would say this part is your protective root system. It's not trying to ruin your spiritual growth. It's trying to protect you. And you cannot shame a frightened part of you into becoming more loving, right? And so this is where I believe that we've really misunderstood forgiveness. We think forgiveness means, well, what they did was okay. Well, no, it doesn't. Nor does it mean I can trust you again and you can come back into my life. Absolutely not. You see, forgiveness and reconciliation, they're not the same thing. Forgiveness and trust are not the same thing. And forgiveness does not erase discernment and your healthy boundaries. But there's another misunderstanding that can be especially painful for those of us on a spiritual path. See if this is true for you. We can often think, if I was truly loving and I was conscious or spiritually evolved, oh, I should be able to forgive. Have you ever thought that? And then we take that part of ourselves that was already wounded, and then we just reject her all over again because she isn't spiritual enough to just let this go. So just think about that. We're trying to become more loving by withholding love from the very part of ourselves that needs it the most. So consider this. Forgiveness doesn't begin with the person who hurt you or someone you care about. It actually begins here, just like this. The next time this memory arises and you feel that contraction in your body, instead of saying, oh, why is this still bothering me so much? Well, just try simply noticing, something in me still hurts. That's awareness. And then think, this is what's here right now. I don't have to do anything to make it disappear or go away, right? Well, that's acceptance. And then you would think, well, some part of me has held on to this to protect me. Well, that's compassion and understanding, right? And then maybe even, oh, thank you for showing me where I need to focus. Well, that's gratitude and love. So notice something extraordinary. You haven't forgiven anyone yet, but you're already beginning to experience the qualities of your authentic spiritual nature. Acceptance, understanding, compassion, gratitude, and love, right? You know, these aren't the states that you have to manufacture to become more spiritual. Well, they're actually signs that you've already begun reconnecting with that immutable divine love that is already within you. So let me give you one very small practice that can help you. I would like to have you bring to mind that person that you haven't been able to forgive yet. Just bring him to mind for a moment. And instead of looking toward them, turn your attention toward the part of you that still hurts. Now ask her, what do you need from me right now? Maybe she needs acknowledgement. Maybe she needs permission to be angry. Maybe she needs to hear, I believe you. Well, and very likely, she probably simply needs you to stop thinking that she should be somewhere that she isn't. Whatever comes, just let that be perfectly perfect for today, right? You don't have to forgive. And now I want you to return to something that I said earlier. You told yourself, I just want to be free of this, right? Well, most of us hear that desire, and then what do? We focus on the thing that we don't want. I need to get rid of the resentment. I need to stop thinking about them. I need to finally forgive them. But here in the Orchard Sanctuary, we listen to desire very differently. Instead of asking, how do I get rid of this? We ask, what quality of home, which is your authentic nature, is this desire trying to remind me of? And then acknowledge, what are you actually longing for? Are you longing for the freedom? Yeah, peace, perhaps dignity, maybe self-acceptance. Now, aren't all of these qualities just a form of love? Yeah. What if you're longing for freedom and peace? It isn't evidence of what you're missing. What if freedom and peace are actually inside of you calling you back? What if they're calling you toward the exact place inside yourself where you still feel small, where you feel rejected or betrayed or very hurt? Your desire isn't saying forgive them. Imagine it saying, come back to your abandoned or your rejected self and come back with love. And so this is why we never expect the shadow to forgive. Instead, we bring love to the shadow that cannot forgive. That's when something can really begin to change. Not because we perform forgiveness correctly, but because that wounded part no longer has to keep returning to get our attention. You know, that memory just might come back again, but it's not going to take you into this emotional storm. And maybe you'll think of the person, but your body just won't contract as much. And then maybe someday you're going to recognize, even though what happened wasn't okay with you, I no longer need to fight it to prove that I'm intrinsically worthy to be loved. That's really who I am. Now that's freedom. And it's from this freedom where you finally have the capacity to allow the forgiveness to occur naturally, not as an obligation or a spiritual achievement, but as one of the natural expressions of the divine presence that you're already connected to. And you know, here's perhaps the most important thing that I want you to take with you today. Forgiveness may not be the doorway to freedom. What if forgiveness is the fruit that appears as love sets you free? And when acceptance replaces resistance, and compassion meets the wounded belief, and love reaches the place that once felt abandoned, well, something naturally starts changing within you because you've come home to your authentic, loving nature. Love heals and love sets you free. So if someone comes to mind after this episode, you no longer need to think, I should forgive them. So instead, just try asking, what part of me is still hurting when I remember what happened? And then, what does this little part need from me now? And that's where your transformation begins. Just remember, the first person who needs your compassion isn't the person who hurt you or somebody that you might care about. It's the part inside of you who still can't forgive them. And if your deepest longing is, I just want to be free, then listen carefully. Freedom and peace are already calling you. They're calling you to return to that little root belief of, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy or lovable. And then just bring your love and compassion to that part of you. And when you can do that, you know what? You've come home to your authentic divine nature. So if this opened you up to something that's meaningful today, I'd love to hear what you've discovered in the comments below. I really do read all of them. And I've also left you some free resources from my library of material to help deepen your experience of my path of healing and awakening. And I've left it in the title section below. And if you are ready to understand what's happening beneath the surface of your conscious mind, which is actually where the transformation happens, and that's where love can set you free, please subscribe and join me here in the orchard. So until next time, bye for now.